Very good afternoon. You're watching NewsX and I'm Shivani Singh. Venezuela's oil reserves took center stage as US President Donald Trump announced on Tuesday that the interim government will transfer between 30 to 50 million barrels of high-quality sanctioned crude to the United States. Energy Secretary Chris Wright received orders to implement immediately, with storage ships tasked to deliver directly to US unloading docks. The announcement comes after a US Delta force captured former President Nicolas Maduro, paving way for Vice President Delcy Rodriguez's interim leadership under the Supreme Court decree. Trump framed the handover as mutual gain from Venezuela's vast reserves, long targeted amid sanctions and narco-terror charges. Let's now take a look at the oil plan in detail, because that's where all the details lie. What the oil reserves are, how much is US asking, and how much can Venezuela actually deliver. So let's look at the maths that's here. This is Trump's Venezuela oil plan. How many oil reserves how much oil reserves that Venezuela has? It has 300 billion barrels. That's the reserves. US's oil plan, how much is it asking? It's asking for 50 million barrels. 50 million, that's a lot of barrels that it's asking for. Venezuela's daily oil production is 1 million barrels only. So imagine, the reason why this oil is in question is because Venezuela has a lot of reserves, but its daily production is limited to 1 million barrels, and that's what Trump was actually hinting at when it said that he wants American companies to come into Venezuela and then start producing oil over here. So let's look at his plan in detail. If using these existing stocks or the production, 50 million barrels could be delivered in 50 to 60 days at the current rate. So if we look at the current Venezuelan production rate, which is 1 million barrels per day, what Trump wants is 50 million barrels that could be given within 50 to 60 days. That's the current rate of plan that is actually unfolding, if it goes right now according to plan. But if we look at Venezuela's daily oil production, it's at $1 million. If there is a ramp up, if there is a short term ramp up, if Venezuela starts producing 1.5 million barrels per day, then the entire plan could be completed in 18 months. If there is a short mid-term ramp up and Venezuela starts producing 2 million barrels per day, then this entire thing could be done in 10 years. And long-term ramp up, so then it can look at 3 million plus barrels per day. If the production in Venezuela actually goes up to 3 million barrels per day, then we can look at a long-term ramp up of oil production in Venezuela, and that's what Trump actually wants to do when he's introducing those American companies in the Venezuelan oil infrastructure program. He wants to ramp up the oil production. So what is the estimated cost for revival? The estimated cost is over $100 billion for the complete revival of the oil infrastructure in Venezuela. And the cost to maintain the current output, remember, is 1 billion barrels per day. So if the cost will be around $53 billion over 15 years. Over 15 years, it will be $53 billion. And the annual cost for growth will be around 8 to 10 billion per year for growth. So around 8 to 10 billion dollars per year for the entire annual growth of this entire oil plan that Trump has for Venezuela. Remember, it's a very tricky situation as well, because it needs to make sure that the infrastructure is ramped up. It needs to make sure that if it wants to stay there for a longer duration, then it will look at a longer term plan. So let's also look at what US's single day oil consumption is. It's approximately 19 to 20 billion barrels per day. And the US daily oil production is around 13.5 million barrels per day. So there is a difference of around 7 million barrels per day that US is actually lacking, because it's only able to produce around 13.5 million barrels per day. So the daily crude oil imports are around $53 billion over 15 years. So over the past 15 years, US has spent over $50 billion in just crude oil imports, because it needs to meet its single day oil consumption, which is around $19 to $20 billion per day. So those were in fact some of the oil plan details that we have been talking about, because oil has taken center stage in this entire US Trump Venezuela controversy. Also joining us on the broadcast is M.K. Agarwal, economist, who is going to help us understand this entire issue. Mr. Agarwal, if I can come to you with the oil plan that US might have for Venezuela, how are you looking at it?
See, US has a very strong commitment to extract oil from Venezuela as much as possible and as early as possible. It is for its own consumption, plus it wants to export to other countries and mint money. Because if you are looking at the US economy, so US economy is not in a very comfortable position, and what Trump says that if he has got $600 billion after tariff imposition, unmindful of growing inflation and income inequality in US economy, so he thinks that whatever, whether it is a short-term gain or whatever it is, he wants immediate money. So as far as his spending on infrastructure, oil extraction infrastructure, it is an investment by the US companies, those who were not operating earlier, and they want their own type of system. So they will like, but there is a danger. Danger is that this type of situation may lead to further reduced oil prices in the global market. That may not help US that much, but still, since it is getting this oil for free, definitely it is going to gain a lot. And whatever it is going to have its geopolitical implication also. But definitely, yes, Venezuela is going to give some type of economic relief in terms of crude oil to US economy, thanks to the bad adventure by Trump administration in Venezuela.
Sir, also, how do you look at this entire plan that is, do you see this US actually moving forward from Venezuela in a short term, or do you see it staying in Venezuela for a longer duration? Because US is known to intervene in a country and then stay there till it meets its resources.
The way Trump has intervened in Venezuela, it is not intervention only. It is a type of coup that he has done there, and he wants quick money. This is my understanding, because in the long run, definitely there is a risk factor is quite high for the Trump to maintain Venezuela, because it will have a ripple effect globally. And since Trump has challenged other countries also to fall in line, otherwise he will capture. So this is going to create a type of global tension that may escalate further. So in that situation, Trump wants to maximize the gain in the short run.
Right, sir. And if I can get your final comments on the US's need. We have been talking about the daily oil consumption in the US. It's around approximately 19 to 20 billion barrels per day. And it needs if it actually, now that it's asking Venezuela to give it around 30 to 50 billion barrels, do you think that it wants to meet its daily consumption and not, look at more crude oil imports?
I think it will require for domestic consumption as well for export, because it wants cash flow also. Moreover, it wants to monopolize the oil market globally, and it wants to keep away Russia from selling its oil to major countries like China and India. So that's their Trump administration's strategy also, that it wants to have a monopoly so that it can raise prices in the medium term, so that it can further gain with the same amount of supply. So Trump has a very dubious type of strategy, and now it's well known that he wants money by hook or by crook. Whether it is ethical or unethical, it wants money because U.S. economy is in deep trouble.
Right. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us on the broadcast. We appreciate your insights into